Hi students, welcome back to class. Let's continue the analysis of Duchess of Malfi. Let's go to the important questions. Let's see. So we know that the Duchess of Malfi is a revenge tragedy. It's also called a tragedy of blood. So revenge tragedies are derived from Seneca's tragedies. You have studied about revenge tragedy in the context of Hamlet. So this tragedy was adopted into England by Thomas Gate. His Spanish tragedy became very famous, and after that, other writers also started following revenge tragedies. So, in revenge tragedies, they used to actually write about the horrific incidents, the horror, and the death, murder, and all those things by way of narrating. But it is in Elizabethan theatre, these were actually shown on the stage because the Elizabethan audience wanted a spectacle on the stage. So these even the scenes of horror, murder, ghost, all those things were shown on the stage only. So the basic part of the revenge tragedy, that is the subject of the revenge tragedy, is murder and quest for vengeance. So it will be revolving around murder of a person and the person related to the kith or kin of the person may strive for revenge. So he or she may take it as a, usually he takes it as a sacred duty to carry out revenge. It's not again like a wild justice. Revenge is not a kind of wild justice here. Revenge is a part of justice. That is how it will be shown in the revenge tragedies. In revenge tragedies include ghost, insanity, suicide, a play within a play, sensational incidents, gruesomely bloody ending. So these are some of the traits of some of the characteristic features of revenge tragedies. So let's come to the Duchess of Malfi as a revenge tragedy. In this play, the main theme is revenge. We know that the play revolves around the theme of revenge, and we have already spoken about revenge in the context of analyzing theme. So we can see revenge of Ferdinand and the Cardinal, and the reason for the revenge also we know very well. That is, the Duchess disobeys the their order that she should not marry again. She should not have any kind of relationship with any other man. So here, when she violates the norm given by them, the rule given by them, they take they punish her. So that punishment is shown in a very cruel and a wicked manner because people will not punish their kith and kin in such a cruel way. So we don't see any sentiment of sibling. Instead, we see extreme cruelty. So the murder of the Duchess and her children are the consequences of the disobedience of their laws. The law set by the rule set by them. That's all. So there, this is mainly the plot. It's about actually the revenge of Ferdinand and Cardinal. So the most of the parts of the play is about the revenge of Ferdinand and the Cardinal. And we can see revenge of Bosola. That is much later, after the Duchess and her children are killed. Borsolo changes his heart because he does not even get reward for whatever he has done, and Ferdinand gets angry with Borsolo for murdering the Duchess, and then we can see a change in his heart. So at that time, he thinks that he has to take it as his own task. He has to take it as a noble task to do justice for the murdered Duchess, and he initiates his efforts to save Antonio. Unfortunately, he himself kills Antonio. So, even this also seems to be highly ironical or a contradictory thing because he is the one who brings the executioners to kill the Duchess and her children, and then he is the one who tries to seek justice for the murdered Duchess and her children. So, here, two revenge by two sets of people can be seen. First, the revenge by Cardinal and Ferdinand for violating, for disobeying their words. Second is again revenge by Bosola for giving justice to the murdered duchess and children. And next, we can find in the play the presence of a ghost crying for revenge, but that is not there in the play. We don't see, the ghost of the duchess coming and crying for revenge, but there is a feeling that the duchess is asking Bosola for revenge. So he feels that, he senses it, and then he starts doing justice for the murdered duchess. But the thing is that he is the one who carries out the order, but he himself actually tries to give justice to the murdered duchess. And another characteristic feature of revenge tragedy is insanity. So we can see insanity of Ferdinand. So by the end of the play, that is in Act 5, we can see Ferdinand going mad. And Ferdinand starts suffering from a disease called a lycanthropia. And it is mentioned that by this disease, the one who suffers from it which starts behaving like a wolf. And we can see him behaving like a wolf. He goes to the graveyard, he digs the dead body of a person, and some people have seen him in the graveyard with the leg of a dead body. So he starts imagining himself as a wolf, and he starts behaving in that way. So in his fit of madness, he says many illogical things, and his pricking conscience can also be seen. So insanity is an important feature of the revenge tragedy, so that can be seen in this play. And another part of the revenge tragedy is play within a play. So here we don't see a play within a play, but we can see dumb show. So that but the play has a dumb show that is shown in the third act. The third act, when Antonio and the Duchess go to Ancona, and they go to the shrine of Loreto. There is a dumb show. In the dumb show, we can see Ancona, sorry, not Ancona, Duchess and her husband banished from the state of Ancona. So that is actually related through dumb show, and then Cardinal giving up Bishop Cardinal giving up the holy order, the order of the priest, and taking up the order of the general of army. That also can be seen in that dumb show. So dumb show reveals such things. So they are actually very important to show the development of the plot. Then other sensational incidents can be seen in the play. Act 4 is full of such sensational incidents. So we can see a severed hand of a dead man. It's not dumb man. Sorry, students, it's dead man. Severed hand of a dead man can be seen. Ferdinand comes to the chamber of the Duchess at night, and he presents the hand of a dead man. And so the Duchess does not know that it is again the hand of a dead man. She thinks that that is the hand of Ferdinand, her brother, and she kisses the hand, and she sees the ring on the finger, and that ring is again her wedding ring. So it is shown that it's again the hand of a dead man, but she is given the impression that it is the hand of her dead husband. And then to intensify the pain of this lady, that is the Duchess, wax figures of Antonio and the children are also shown. So those wax figures are made by a very famous artist, and she thinks that those wax figures are the dead bodies of her husband and her children, and from that moment onwards she does not feel like living. So to intensify her pain and suffering, Ferdinand arranges the wax figures of the Antonio and her children to be shown to her. And another sensational incident also we can see, that is the presence of mad men. So mad men are brought from a lunatic asylum, and so their performance is shown on the stage. So they are brought to the palace of the Duchess, and they are brought to stay in the room near her chamber. And those madmen, they speak in a very nonsensical way, illogical way. So they create a lot of noise. So Ferdinand wants to make her mad to intensify her pain and to intensify her suffering. He brings these madmen also. So all the sensational incidents can be seen in Act 4. So these are also parts of revenge tragedy, which we can see in the play very well. And Basolo comes with the executioners and he comes with the bell and a book. So that also indicates that he is waiting for the melodramatic end of the Duchess. So that also can be seen in the play. And other feature, a very important feature of the revenge tragedy is a bloody ending. So gruesomely bloody ending. So that we can see at the end of Act 5. In Act 4, Duchess and her children and Cariola, Duchess, her children and Cariola are killed. But in Act 5, we can see the death of Cardinal Ferdinand Antonio Bosola. So all the people who are involved in the revenge of the Duchess, all the people who are directly involved, so they are all of them get killed, except the son of Antonio, that is the eldest son of Antonio and the Duchess. So we see a bloody ending at the end of the play. So this is also an important feature of revenge tragedy. So we can see most of the features of revenge tragedy in the play. So I have already told you it revolves around the theme of revenge, but here the theme of revenge does not seem to be very strong. That is, especially the revenge of Ferdinand and Cardinal is not very strong. Revenge motive is very weak only in the play. And let's come to moral vision of John Webster in the play. So when we closely examine the play, we think that the play is full of moral corruption. The play does not have any moral law to be imparted. But when we closely study, only we understand that it has moral law. It is characterized by moral law. So Webster portrays an Italian court which does not have people following the moral laws, but it is full of corruption. We see a lot of moral lapses, greed, lustfulness, murder, wickedness. All these things we can see in the court, but still there is a moral law that prevails. So, by the indication that those things are absent, he tries to point out that moral law is very much needed. So if we just analyze the characters of Ferdinand, Cardinal, Basola, we can find the moral law being completely disturbed by these characters. They are full of wickedness, cruelty, and they don't. They are selfish, ambitious. So that kind of a thing only we can see in these characters. But still, there is a sense of justice that prevails. So here the author wants to say that if anybody violates the codes of law, he is bound to get punishment. He will not let anybody go without getting punishment. It is unlike what we see in Ben Jonson's Alchemist. There we don't see even the wicked people getting punishment. Here it is the opposite only. All the wicked people get punishment. It may not be based on the proportion of the wickedness. I say this because the Duchess and her children are killed. We don't see the Duchess deserving that much of punishment. The Duchess does not deserve to be killed. She also deserves to live only. But here there is a change. So for that, for the injustice done to the Duchess, we see all those who do injustice will also be killed in the play. So violators of divine law are punished. We see Ferdinand, Cardinal, Bossolo as violators of divine law. So all those people are punished. Even Julia is also a violator of divine law. She has been keeping adulterous relationship with her with Cardinal, and so she is killed by the partner in the sin only. It's the same person, and we see her even not being faithful to Cardinal. She moves from one person to another. Her inconsistency is also shown here. So when she shows her inconsistency, she is punished by the same uh, inconsistency, or lack of faithfulness from her lover. So that is what we see here. So sin can be seen in the play. Throughout the play we can see people reveling in sin, leading a very sinful life, but each person gets punishment for the sin he does. So punishment is there for everybody. That is what the Webster wants to say, because there is a moral law, and then every citizen is bound to obey the moral law. If a person does not obey the moral law, punishment is sure to come. So that is what he seeks to convey through the play. And the play completely conforms to the concept of poetic justice. We can see bad people getting punishment, but I cannot say completely, I'm sorry about it, because the Duchess, her children, and Antonio, they don't deserve the punishment they got. So we don't see these people getting rewarded in any way. Instead we see these people getting punishment, these people are murdered in the play. So at least the violators of the moral law, the divine law, those people are getting punishment. So that part is there in the play. So we don't see reward to anybody, instead we see punishment to all people. So let's talk about imagery in the play. The play is highly figurative. Play has a number of images. Even at the beginning of the play itself we can see images being used. Webster employs most of these images from the king from animals and birds. So if you remember Bossolo's conversation with the cardinal, he says that even blackbirds fatten themselves in winter. So, like blackbirds, he also thinks of fattening himself. So here we can see the image of bird being used, and throughout the play, actually, we can see the images of bird being used. If we think about Ferdinand, who is asked why he wants to sit alone, he says that eagles fly alone, but other birds they fly in flocks. So the images of birds are used very commonly, and then we can see the image of basilisk. Basilisk is a kind of monster, a kind of dragon only. The basilisk eye is used very many times. Ferdinand wants himself to have that basilisk eye. By the help of the basilisk eye, he thinks that he'll be able to stare at the lover of the Duchess, and he'll be able to kill her. And then we can see the doctor advising Ferdinand to take the medicine of basilisk egg. So, in a tricky way, the doctor gives us suggestion. So, basilisk is again used in the play, and then we can see other image of salamander being used. So, there is salamander in his eyes that is mentioned here. So, that shows the redness in his eyes. So, the images of animals are frequently used, and then at the beginning itself, it is mentioned that the Duchess laughs like hyena. So, to Ferdinand, even the appearance of the Duchess also is like hyena only. Hyena is again somebody who laughs, and then somebody who is deceitful. So that kind of a meaning is implied by the word the Duchess, by the word hyena in connection with the Duchess. Then we can see the images of tempest, poison, corruption, sickness, death. All those images are frequently used. When Ferdinand gets to know about the Duchess' relationship with a person outside the wedlock, he gets very angry, and there it is. His anger is explained by using the image of tempest. So the tempest is shown here, and he is turbulent and violent in nature. That is also shown in many parts of the play. Corruption is again, it's shown like sickness. Even her moral, the relationship of the Duchess is also shown like sickness, and her children are compared to wolf, and her children are compared to cubs. So these are the images used to speak about her children, and then to speak about the life of Antonio, dog life, that is also mentioned here. So we can see a number of images being used. Most of the images are from the animal world. So that shows actually the very close observation of the animal world around, and so that again speaks about people behaving like animals, people living in a kind of animal world with no law and with no rules. So that is what is shown. And we can see thunder and earthquake, that is images of thunder and earthquake also used to speak about the anger and the anger of Ferdinand. So that also can be seen here. And then to speak about the suffering of the Duchess, we can see images of fish being used. She narrates some anecdotes to speak about the quality of enduring, the quality of endurance, and the quality of enduring all the pain and sorrow. She speaks about, she gives us a small story about dogfish and salmon, and she says that the value of a creature can be known only in the times of danger. So such anecdotes also can be seen. So these are some of the images. So this is not highly exhaustive. There are many other images also used in the play. So you have to go through the text and then you have to analyze and find out. So I've just given a sample, a few images in the play. So these images will speak about the characteristics of the characteristics of different characters in the play, and the temper of the characters, and the revenge also is shown through these images. So with that, I'm just coming to the end of the analysis. So students, I hope you understood the play very well. These can be some of the important questions. Um, the Duchess of Malfi as a revenge tragedy, that's a stock question. You may get that question in the examination. And another question can be the moral vision of Dexter's with reference to the Duchess of Malfi. That is why I've given you those the topic also here. And imagery also can be asked, not sure, but these are some of the possible questions. Based on that only I've prepared the lecture. So I hope you have understood the drama very well. Start reading the play, listen to the recorded lectures, and if you have any doubts, just contact me. Otherwise, I'll be conducting one online class to clarify all those doubts. So get ready with your doubts. Then we can see all those things. So with that, I'm just winding up today's class. I think you understood everything. So bye.